So if you guys are American First Patriots, you need to watch this video here. Donald Trump has officially announced his intentions to run for a fourth term as president of the United States. Now, I know what you're thinking. First of all, fourth term. What the fuck do you mean fourth term? He wasn't even elected to a third term, but he's claiming that he was elected to a third term, as we've heard time and time again from his own mouth as well as the White House website. We all know that he believes the election was stolen and rigged, and he's using the springboard now from China, saying they stole voter files, and therefore the election's rigged, and I'm owed another term here, at least with respects to serving it. That's sort of how he's going to manipulate this entire situation, and I have been saying this for quite some time since he was elected into his second term. I never said that his first term, by the way, as well. Now, having said that, we're going to watch the clip here today of him expressly saying that he wants a fourth term in office, and if you're an American, you should be disgusted by this action here. And it's not to say that, look, if I wasn't in his shoes, I would probably want a third term myself, but at the end of the day, we have the Constitution, and to me, it is clear as day that he is going to try and violate that, and I see no actions on his behalf right now besides trying to illegally maneuver around the 22nd Amendment to try to get into that term. So let's watch the clip here, and then we'll talk about it just a little bit more.
Okay, but we are all doing good together. That's why tonight, to show just how much I care about the press, and I want to save your ratings, I'm pleased to announce my intention to, and this is somewhat of a scoop, my intention to run for a fourth term as President of the United States. I will be doing that. I will be having an official, in fact, I think I have, I won 3 times. Now I'm going to do it again. Thank you. I'm going to do it. Should be easy. I'm getting very good at running for president. No, I won 3 times, did very well the second time, by the way. It's a rigged election, but we don't have to talk about it. You know, it's interesting, when you come back and you do a good job like we did, and you don't care about it so much, but we do have to tighten up these elections because they really are in seriously bad shape. Okay, but...
Oh my fucking God, how cooked are we, guys? How cooked are we? Now, see, this is the type of stuff that you need to be standing up for, right? Because then we get people like this who want to be dictators in our country, and there's nothing that we can do about it. Now, what I will tell you here is I think that there's a distinction, right? There is a distinction. Now, I know some people obviously like Donald Trump. I don't think that those people know what the hell they're talking about, and I don't think that they know anything about current events. I don't think they know anything about history, political science in general. I don't think they know anything about how to effectively govern a country, with respects to the global population, because, countries clearly run themselves better than we do. I really don't think that they have valid arguments for, who it is that they support in office. But having said that, we're now in a position whereby Donald Trump has announced this fourth term here. And the distinction is he's somebody who is using the presidency to enrich himself, to make himself more powerful, not to help out the average people. He's done almost nothing in his second term to help out the average person. Yes, I can name policies that have been good. The Trump accounts for the kids who are born now, the newborns. Yeah, great policy. But you know what? When 95, probably 98 out of 100 policies are bad, yeah, the good ones, to me, they don't really matter that much. I'm sorry to say that. And there's a distinction here. We have a guy who's hiding the Epstein files. We have a guy who started 7 wars. He's bombed 7 fucking countries since he took office in his second term. He's supporting 3 proxy wars right now as president of the United States. He's supporting the surveillance state that we see in 1984. Flock cameras, spying on you with AI. I mean, look at the deals that they're signing with these AI companies to track Americans. All right, he's, for God's sake, years ago he said he would want Snowden executed. I mean, this isn't a bad guy. I don't know what is, and now he's privatizing presidential communications for insider trading, right? So he has plausible deniability now. Well, I didn't give you insider information. I just tweeted about it on Truth Social, and you pay me $100,000 a month. So therefore, you got access to that, a couple milliseconds before the average person does, and you can execute those trades on Wall Street to make a fuck ton of money. This is the guy that you want in office, and you want him in for another term? Now, see, I think there's a distinction between somebody like this and FDR. Yes, obviously FDR was elected to a 4th term, longest-serving president in United States history. Now, he broke precedent. Lots of other people have tried before him to break precedent as well. Believe me, they wanted more terms than 2. But Donald Trump, not Donald Trump, FDR won those, but he was a very popular guy. He brought you out of the Depression. He was helping out average Americans. Was he a perfect guy? Absolutely not. But at least relative to his time, he was a good president. What the fuck has Donald Trump done? Absolutely nothing. And if you think he's done something, then you need to go back and you need to evaluate your opinions, because every single fucking metric in this country has pretty much got worse. Almost every single one. Again, yeah, sure, there's a metric here and there that might be better, but almost everything's bad, right? And when almost everything's bad, you got to kick these people out of power. But people are so deluded, they're so brainwashed, they're so propagandized now that the conservatives are probably going to support this. They're going to be all over it here. In what world? You're violating the 22nd Amendment here, right? Yeah, he's only allowed to have 2 terms. And so how do you get around this here? Well, he's going to use this as a springboard. His China argument is a springboard. He's saying Chinese stole, millions and millions and millions and millions of voter records. As a result of that, maybe they tried to sway an election in some capacity, which, again, like, 2 things can be true at the same time. You could say, all right, they stole the records, but they didn't directly influence and hack the elections. That can be the case. So, and I don't think there was any evidence of it at all, because Trump himself has said that there was a conspiracy and that they all hid this from him, right? Which is kind of crazy to think about. If that was actually true, then why the fuck did he get in for the next term when the Democrats were the ones in office and he dethroned them? Right? So it's only rigged when you lose. And when you don't lose, it's not rigged. That's essentially his logic here. And that's the logic that I believe he's going to maintain for quite some time. But he's going to try to be a dictator here. He's going to try to take that power for life. But he's guising it. This is what dictators do. They guise it under fair democratic elections, when in reality they're not fair and democratic. You can look at people like Putin, for example. Now, another distinction there. I'm an honest person. Another distinction there. Donald Trump can't probably rig our elections. I'm sure there's a way he could try to do so. But it'd be incredibly difficult. Whereas in Russia, the systems are set up in place to where it'd be a lot easier to do so. And we know what happens. But at least here, I wouldn't even put it past him now. I mean, he's gotten away with fucking murder. Not literal murder, but you know what I'm saying. Metaphorically speaking, he's gotten away with murder. This guy has done so many crimes in office. I'm the only felon in office, by the way, as far as I know. He's gotten away with so many crimes in office that why wouldn't he try his hand at getting another term? I mean, we allow it all to happen here. And as far as I'm concerned, it's not necessarily that Trump is the only one who's bad here. This is like the big green ogre, the big orange ogre, we should say. But it's not just him, because the politicians underneath him in the House and Senate, they should be impeaching this motherfucker. And the fact that they're not doing that only shows that they're bought out by the same individuals on a smaller scale. And that's why every politician supports Israel, for example, right? And they all take money from AIPAC, right? Like, who was that one asshole? I think it was Tom Cotton the other day. And I remember seeing it was a tweet whereby he was like just absolutely pissed off that Mamdani was taking money from, was not taking money from, no, that Mamdani wanted to arrest Netanyahu, but he couldn't get away with it. And so Tom Cotton was just absolutely foaming at the mouth. And he's like all pissed off at the fact that Mamdani would even consider arresting somebody like Netanyahu, who's wanted in like 140 countries. And then people were posting his AIPAC, all the money he takes from AIPAC, like in his comments. And I just thought that was like so hilarious, bruh. So hilarious. So yeah, you look at the, here we go. Here you got one right here. Right there. Tom Cotton takes $2,963,774 from AIPAC here. Bad guy, but the world that we live in, it's so broken that it feels like absolutely nobody cares about stuff like that anymore. Nobody cares. And as voters, you should care, because this is how people like Donald Trump have perpetuated their power for so long and their influence. He's not a guy who needs it. First of all, he doesn't deserve a third term. But even if he did, he's on such an uphill battle. You'd have to repeal an amendment. Do you realize how difficult that is? Probably just pass another. You have to get another amendment passed, and like that's just such a brutal process that's never going to happen. And so you have to ask yourself, well, if that's never realistically going to happen, because we had it for a reason, we didn't want people getting too powerful, what's his only alternative then? And that's to coup the United States government. That's to take power for himself. And if you think that he maybe has the best intentions in mind, it doesn't matter. He's still breaking the law. And we have the term limits for a reason. We have them for a reason. Even if it was somebody like Bernie Sanders, for example, I'd say, fuck yeah, I want them in power. But we have to change the law first. And we have to do this legally. He's just going to coup the government. I guarantee you that's what he tries to do. Now, whether or not he wins the election, who knows? I mean, there could be an election he probably ends up losing. And I think he will end up losing. But in the event he had the most votes, and he ended up getting the most electoral votes at that, he's going to coup the fucking government. And this is what people should be just foaming at the mouth about, because you cannot stand for this as an average citizen. If he coups the government, you don't have a right to overthrow the government. You have a moral obligation, a duty to do so per the U.S. Constitution. Just some food for thought there, guys. Again, this is why I kind of sympathize with the people who rioted on January 6th. I always said, look, if the President of the United States is telling you that the elections were rigged and stolen, and these are fresh new accusations, like in some regards, like you have like an obligation to go up and try to overthrow this government, which was illegally rigging elections. Let's be honest here, right? That would be the American thing to do. But if there's no evidence of it in any capacity, kind of a problem. And again, like I want to put these things by, the government to have conspiracies like this. They've overthrown democratic elections in tens of countries before around the globe. So to say they couldn't do that here, I mean, I think that's a very, that's a misinformed opinion at that. Let's leave it. Let's be nice to say it's a misinformed opinion. But when there's still no evidence of this occurring. And like Trump, like Biden did not win the 2020 election. Donald Trump lost it. Does that make sense? Like, yes, Biden won. You know what I'm saying? But like, he only won because Trump fucking sold. He did everything wrong during COVID. Everything wrong during COVID. Everything. And because of that, Biden ended up winning. Let's leave it at that, guys. And I mean, if you can't be honest with yourself about that, then, if you're too deluded, then I don't know what to tell you. But either way, you can't be in power for a third term, as he would say, fourth term. It's bad. It's anti-American, and we can't do it. And if you are going to do it, you got to change the law, and we can't be condoning a coup here, even if he deserved it. We just cannot do it. So with that said, guys, man, I don't know. It's an interesting time that we live in. And again, is there maybe always caveats? Would there ever be a time when I support somebody maybe coupping the government? And the answer is yes. If somebody illegally takes an election in the third term, then abso-fucking-lutely, right? Let's say Donald Trump won a third term. Yeah, I would support people rising up and saying, absolutely fucking not. You're not allowed to take this office. You're not allowed. You can't do it. I don't know. Call me crazy. And maybe I would change my opinion, but as far as it stands, and I would be honest about it, if I did change my opinion, I would tell people. But as far as it stands, that's where I lie. And that's where I think most Americans need to lie as well. So if the rule you followed brought you to this, guys, what use was the rule? Vote your politicians out. We'll see you later, guys. My name is Dr. Phillips. Subscribe, hit that like button, and we'll talk to you later. Peace.